I feel like FPX should be looking towards mids that are going to try to facilitate this. I do not want to be seeing a Galio. I like the Annie ban this time around from FPX compared to game 1 that we saw it in from Weibo. I think just making sure that Tian does not have any setup from mid lane makes it very difficult for this Neferi to actually get anything done, especially you look on the opposite side. She's going to have to be diving into a Yone, into a Sion. That looks pretty miserable to me.
Yeah, what setup are we really thinking about here? Because, you know, the Ryze is gone, which is the best combo. Obviously, the Ahri is gone. We have the Talia that's gone. So what do we really have left here? I mean, it feels like Orianna's not great.
In terms of mid, yeah, Orianna's probably that. If they are that afraid, the Galio matchup is not kind. Galio matchup is not kind at all, but it's something that they can look for. If you're looking for some... I mean, there's just no immobile mages that Xiaohu has shown this season that are going to deal very well with this. They want to see a little bit more of the composition, and they also want to stop Jwei from taking away a potentially a bigger option. Honestly, this might be closer to a Sylas angle, depending on what Jwei picks here. I know that Alistar was already taken by Weibo, but in terms of just being able to be more obtuse to your opponents, it's something that they can look for. Probably going to be looking for a lot of skirmishing, though. Power spikes on 1 and 2 items are a huge focal point for FPX if you just look at their champions.
All right, we're going to lock into Corgi to try to match this early strength that we're seeing in the bottom lane for Weibo. And then Rel will be locked in to tie the room together, get this engage on. Let's see what Weibo wants to do. You did shout out the Sylas. It just feels like not too many great ultimates to take here. You do have the ball delivery system with the Alistar, so it looks like Orianna will be the call.
All right, space control is going to be all Weibo's here. You have an Alistar. You also have this Orianna. Cassante should be enough of a front line alongside Hung on this champion. So hopefully for Weibo, they're going to be able to slow down fights, really dictate when FPX can do anything. My worry here, though, I think that between the skirmishing potential at level 1 and level 2 for this bottom lane of FPX, I think with now 2 farm-heavy junglers on both sides, and I'm looking at Karon, one of his signature picks in the Yone, I feel like in terms of being able to start a fight, FPX are much happier with what they got here in the draft, but in terms of execution, we kind of saw that slip away from them so far in this season, and even in that first game of the series.
Without a doubt, and, you know, for Weibo, it's a little weird, right? You're kind of wanting to use the Alistar to disengage, headbutt Jwei out, and then you're trying to Orianna ultimate like 1 or 2 targets to pick them off, and then maybe try to continue a fight from there. It feels like unless you see a really good angle that FPX are not ready for, that you're going to be on the back foot and kind of responding to what FPX want to do in this game. And speaking of things they might want to do with the Sion, with the Yone, you know, talk about grubs, right? I think that this might be a big focal point for FPX. Giving them over to Yone will be very key.
Yeah, that's for sure. I'm kind of looking right now. Typically, Misfortune is a champion that is chosen not only for her strong lane, but her ability to kind of walk around the map a little bit faster. Corki should have an easier time pushing the mid wave, though, and so that means that FPX do have options to be able to get into Fog of War and very easily set up around objectives, which is kind of name of the game for Weibo. If they can get set up and entrenched, it's impossible to break their front line.
So much credit to the girl who started the chants for FPX. You could see she was saying it with her whole chest right there. She is a staunch FPX supporter. We'll see if that support is going to be enough to earn them a W and force a Game 3 Alk battery.
That's important. Again, getting Game 3s here, especially for FPX. They would love to be able to win this and give themselves a shot at getting 6th or keeping their position in 6th at this moment. Even if Weibo win, though, they'll only have a single game over them, and while they will have that series loss, FPX can very easily gain that back and potentially keep themselves in the race for fighting off against one of our Group Nirvana teams. Again, they are going to be facing, obviously, against Weibo, and then they play against IG tomorrow, so pretty big focus for them is to make sure that they're able to win their games and try to find themselves a purchase, because they could end up sliding a lot further here in the standings.
Yeah, and, you know, while IG is going to be a tough matchup, I think this is the one they were expecting to maybe win. And I think a big issue for FPX is not getting that 6th place spot. You know, this is a team that we talked about earlier, does really well against some of the good teams, can easily take games off, but will lose games to teams that we will expect them to beat, which I think sets them up pretty poorly even with side select against some of these bottom teams. As Small Engage comes out here, Ignite used, Cleanse forced out of Light.
And Light has to be careful here because he's going to hit level 2 when this wave bounces towards him. We're also going to be seeing Shadow right now go for a full clear. I don't expect for him to go for a dive, but if Light stays and he takes a little bit more HP, it is very easy for Lilia to just take a drive-by. They also have priority from this bottom lane wave, so Jwei can be very annoying in Tian's jungle. And invading the Lilia, or invading the Nefiri is kind of exactly the game plan that FPX would want to take part in. So we'll see them now. They're going to back into Fog of War. They're going to move through Tri-Brush now. I don't think Tian is going to have access to at least one of these camps. They're not even playing for it, though.
Yeah, I love that you mentioned the lane priority coming out because both of these champions in the jungle really, if they get disrupted, it'll be a tough time for them. And oftentimes we'll see Nefiris do a little disrupting of their own. So as long as Shadow is able to farm up and be okay, yeah, sure, you're letting Tian off the hook here and letting him farm up, but in order to secure Shadow and make sure things are okay for him, it seems like it'll be okay.
So Shadow will be here first. He will get spotted on that Tri-Brush. Tian hasn't been spotted yet. He's going to give up this first spawn of the Scuttle. He's going to turn into Tian getting the topside Scuttle instead. But they're continuing to put pressure here, and maybe Shadow looks for something. He does have the bowling ball.
Relatively healthy on the bottom lane here.
Though.
Yeah, I don't... This is going to be tough. Let's see what Hong can do here. Headbutt, pulverize. Jwei going to go down.
Oh,
Light
God.
ends up taking a lot of damage, but the turret does so much here. It is a double kill for the Misfortune and a well-played dive by the Weibo bottom lane.
Yeah, Weibo played that incredibly. I mean, the fact that they're able to survive, it is Hong missing out on Light missing out on a lot of golden experience. He is down 20 CS right now in his lane matchup, but by getting those 2 kills, it's only 100 gold. That's a massive win for them. Yeah, he'll be down in experience, but think about what they expended for that. That's both summoners now from Light. Maybe they can try to make a return, but there's no flash from Jwei, and they even got the barrier out from Cork, and it didn't even matter.
Yeah, I mean, the time investment was not worth it. I mean, this was also Light without a cleanse. You imagine if he had cleanse here? Oh my God, this might be a 3-for-0 in favor of Weibo. I mean, this is just really, really poor, and it feels like FPX made a play just for the sake of making it.
And that's also going to be an advantage going over to Tian. He got access to his first set of respawn Raptors there, so he gets first say onto his camps. He took his recall and already has the Tunneler. Not as impactful as an item like a Faded Ashes coming in from the Lilia, but it's those small things, man. It's that timer to say, okay, look, as the Nefiri, I get to do an extra jungle camp while Shadow is in the bottom lane and not really farming the rest of his jungle. I can now even start on this Gromp here, and instead of going and continuing to pressure for this dragon, we're seeing right now that Weibo's bottom lane have immediately moved up into the top side. They're going to try to oppress this Scion, but it's going to be free dragon going over to FPX as Tian thought maybe he could try to look for something.
You know, Alk, it almost feel like MOBA Trainer popped up, you know, when they went for that.
Yeah?
Like that. Shadow was like, decision time. Dive bot lane, recall, buy your Faded Ashes, or, you know, do something else. And speaking of something else, Tian, I think a little bit chippy there. 1v3, and will rightly lose his flash.
On one hand, I think you can make an argument that, like, Tian's just like, yeah, I can just walk in here and playing Nefiri, and I think with the amount of mobility and the spells that you have, it's pretty good. He did end up getting an Ignite for it, and not all that much lost. A little bit of HP. It did trade for his flash. So, I just wonder, like, as Tian, like, what exactly are you looking for? Maybe you get some information as to, like, where certain members are from the enemy team, but I mean, now he gets access to 2 separate camps. Respawn Scuttle, and again, his 3rd Raptors of the game. That's very good for this Nefiri at this point.
Yep, we'll see what kind of consequences we have of not having flash here. Hung gonna full court press Shadow and force the flash out of him. So all of a sudden, these junglers without flashes, and many flashes getting burnt here. as Weibo send 4 to the mid lane to take this plate.
Xiaohu had just used his ultimate onto Care, put him at put him at like a quarter HP. Hung could have hex flashed over and potentially ignited. It's unfortunate for Weibo that there were more members around that play, because that could have potentially been the feats of strength going over to them. But they used the priority of this misfortune we talked about during draft, the amount of movement speed you get access to.
Yeah, Jwei's just on the wrong side right now. Here comes Tian. Gonna go take him down. Does have the reset. Doesn't look like he'll go for anything more here, although Xiaohu is coming through on the side. No shockwave means that he'll just make his presence known, clear out this pink ward. 30 seconds until these grubs are up. You can see Weibo making recalls here. See if Shadow can disrupt any of them. Won't be able to, but it'll be big. We'll see where Weibo redeploys.
I don't think Weibo are going to have a timer for these grubs, at least not now. There are too many camps up, especially for Tian. He has 4 camps plus his blue buff respawning. Lilia kind of in the same predicament where she really wants her blue buff and to finish all of these topside camps, get quicker to a Leandri's finish. So during all of this, FPX, they lose out on waves. Weibo continue to get pressure around the map, and it's just opening up small gold advantages. 300 gold for Xiaohu, 300 gold for Tian here and there. And eventually you are going to get to a point where if Weibo are first to the play, if they're winning every skirmish, as FPX, you are kind of saying, okay, well, we might be stronger on 2 items, but like, it's pretty tenuous. We're also not going to hit our spikes as early as some of our opponents.
All right, first grub down. Second grubs are getting done. Tian and the rest of Weibo walking in, but quickly walking out. So good secure here for FPX. It's going to be in the hands of Care. We talked about last game how Care really didn't make his impact known. The guy who has struggled a ton. See what he can do this time around.
I got completely flashbanged by Breathe missing and canceling 4 autos in a row on the Scion with the passive. It's okay. Sorry, Breathe. Only like 4,000 people saw that. At least here in the English side. It's fine.
Oh, wait.
And I don't think this is anything. This is them just fighting for mid priority right now, as Weibo feeling very good about their spot. It's only 500 gold, but right now, this misfortune, she has say on the mid wave. This is going to be them being able to put down vision, even fade into Fog of War, and continue to get camps. Big focus in this game is going to be our junglers here, playing 2 champions that require a lot of gold, typically scale very well with that gold and experience, as Tian is getting closer and closer to getting that Spear of Shojin completed. Shadow looks like after these Krugs, maybe if he gets topside scuttle, he should finish his Leandri's.
Yeah, this game feels like much more of a can Shadow carry, can Tian shut him down type game because of, you know, what Shadow means to FPX and what Tian has done on Weibo so far this season. A minute up until this dragon as Tian and Hung going to quickly get into this middle bush, drop down a ward, and get spotted by the minion wave. They had an opportunity there if they just didn't drop the ward, I think. But
yeah, Jwei's also going to be in the area, so for right now it's going to be Weibo trying to play a little far up so that they can get ready for this dragon spawning in 40 seconds. Tian is recalled. He's going to at least be able to pick himself a Ruby Crystal. Not the best purchase he would have wanted there, but with some camps respawning on the top side. Breed maybe finds this 1v1.
All right, let's see it. I don't know how much we're actually going to see. Let's see if Breed can actually hit his abilities and not cancel his autos. He's doing all right. Shadow going to show up to the top side. He at least pulls the attention of the FPX jungle.
All right. Breed doesn't have ultimate now for the next fight, and with both of them using teleport, Shear's just going to clear this minion wave, and then if he needs to, just ult for the fight. Tian needs to be a little careful. That's a big win for FPX, knowing that Cassante, even if he does match, is going to be stuck in topside and won't have the same level of influence in a fight.
Uh-oh, Xiaohu, he's looking to get aggressive here. Oh, no, bro!
He's looking aggressive in all the wrong ways. Xiaohu misses his
ultimate.
The look. Yeah, should mean that Weibo are not able to fight for this. They don't have enough of a meaningful gold advantage. Even with Hung as a masterful flank here if he really wants to keep it. Scion is also going to be here first, especially with that ultimate. So Weibo do not have the dragon being started on them. They will have their mid laners teleport for this play. Hung still in a massive flank, and nobody from FPX knows that he is here.
All right, this teleport is showing up. Here's Care. More teleports coming through as this dragon kind of losing its patience a little bit here, but not a full reset yet. Oh, resets for a hot moment. Can Tian get in there? No. And then he gets knocked up. And knocked up again. He's got to go invulnerable. Flash over the wall. Jwei and Sheer in the back line. They find the kill. Fade sealed.
Wow.
Gonna land on a just hung. But who is going to sleep? We've put Breathe to sleep. The bullet time coming through. Not doing a whole lot to Sheer. They're looking for a little bit more, but it looks like they won't get it. Just a simple 1-0. But FPX securing their second dragon.
Shout out from Hong. That flash actually just saved Light's life entirely. And a lot of summoners there used by Weibo. So a fight that they probably shouldn't have taken, knowing that they don't have the ultimate from Xiaohu, but instead they decide to contest. They don't get anything for it. They end up losing out on the trade, including the dragon. So FunPlus Phoenix starting to claw back in this game. Awesome now finishing a Trinity Force as well. We're going to be having those first items continue to come on through for FPX. And kind of a bounce back here from some early game woes. You know, the early dive, even Care getting chunked out repeatedly in this matchup. It's going to get easier as he finishes his first item.
And now you take a look at things. I mean, FPX have taken the first 3 objectives of the game without much issue here. As FPX keeping the game even in gold by doing that. It's kind of difficult to do that. Oftentimes we'll see teams just be like, hey, we're going to give up this objective. We'll take gold elsewhere. But that has not really been Weibo's MO.
Awesome.
Getting a nice engage here, but because he used the Valkyrie, that means that Tian will be able to come in. The dogs are barking.
Why?
And he flashes too. That's not great.
We could have flashed at least one of the Darkened Daggers, maybe set up for our play. He traded both of his Summoner spells. He chunked out Light, which he thought, hey, like this is a timer. She's walking up on the wave. I don't know where their enemy team is. This is a fantastic time to pull up an awesome graphic. Just way too aggressive, and now Weibo gets to make this play onto Care.
Okay. Oh, Care flashes too. Tap on it against the wall. It looks like with Hung being able to tank things up, the Shockwave getting used. Weibo making some quick plays in solo lanes.
Well, FPX just tried to push their advantage and then immediately blew it everywhere. Weibo now, they get to take another top lane wave here that no one's going to answer. Care's not up for another 15 seconds, so with Herald spawning in a minute, FPX are now going to be late for their setup around this objective. Weibo get to very calmly take their recalls, finish more of their items, and just playing with a level of poise that we have not seen from them in series past. It is the end of the season. It's one of their last 2 series that they'll play. So in terms of how much is it going to mean for their season, not all that much, even just in standings alone, but having this in kind of some kind of bounce back games, very important for a team that is on currently a 6-series losing streak.
Yeah, Light had talked about that changes needed to be made. I mean, you know, after he said that, they still took a couple of losses and things hadn't improved. But this change had come in. It's Hung coming back. You see he's making plays like this, at least getting aggressive. Sure, it doesn't lead to a kill, but it feels like Weibo are taking a little bit more action, and maybe Weibo can, you know, take a couple victories at the end of the split here and use that momentum in the play-ins and maybe look like the team that we expected them to be. Sure, it's a work in progress, but it is progress.
It's something. It's at least upward movement for the time being. So we're sitting here. Herald has now spawned. Tian got to farm an entire extra full set of camps on the bottom side. Breathe can teleport if he wants to, but they're already late for this play, so they're going to have to do this after the objective is taken. 5,000,
4,000, 3,000, getting lower. Tian wants a piece of things, not going to get it. He does get hit by the bowling ball, and it looks like Weibo, their engage is stymied here. A teleport coming down onto the mid turret. It is going to be the Scion, so it looks like Sheer won't really be in too much danger. It does mean that the mid tier 1 falls.
That's really well played from Weibo. I think they did a fantastic job. Now they have feats of warfare or feats of strength by taking that first turret. Really strong play from them. Like they did invest a teleport, but they instead say, look, you're not in a great position to enter back into mid. We're going to take the mid tier 1, and that is going to help them with being able to contest for further objectives. Dragon's now spawning in 30 seconds. It should be easier for them to get mid priority, especially. So I like this. Good show from Weibo, despite them losing out on the Herald.
Well, this Dragon is going to come up in 20 seconds, and Tiana's on the top side of the map here, so it looks like Weibo are willing to allow FPX to get themselves on soul point. Maybe they want to make a play in the bottom lane first here. They're going to at least clear out the wave. They're going to use the bowling ball. They're going to use the Rift Herald too. Breathe is on an island right now. It's going to be a 4v1. Hung is coming through. He's a little too far away. The turret will fall. All out, taking him over the wall. The headbutt too toward the teleport.
Awesome, no!
Awesome trying to get out of there, and he'll fall to Breathe. The bull time does get canceled. Teleport coming in, and Weibo all of a sudden have a man advantage. And the dragon is started by them. Shadow looking to chase down Hong. He has a nice flash. He's going to get put to sleep. Just him. Shockwave coming through.
Oh,
it doesn't
Jwei.
stop Jwei for the moment as the Fate Sealed comes through as well. And Breathe is going to get melted. No, he gets shielded and finds a way out. But Shadow always looking for more. On the backside, Tian trying to get it done in a 2v1 here. While Xiaohu finds Shadow. Light is still standing. And now Tian going to set his sights on Jwei. Hits him with the darkened daggers. Looking for a little bit more. The second dagger doesn't quite land, but Rel is very slow right now. Kara trying to make it to the blast plant, and Jwei says, I'm sorry, my mid laner. I'm going to survive here. A double kill on the back end for Light. A dragon for Weibo, and the game falls apart for FPX.
And Weibo might have just completely owned this series from this point. Getting themselves a dragon, now with 4 members going down for a single kill. That is an incredibly worthwhile trade. We started off with a Herald dive here as we can take a look of the replay. But Awesome gives Breathe his way out. He needs to know that the kidnap is available for the Cassante. And then this Valkyrie, so many questions. Like, we're Valkyrieing not only into the position where MF is going to be ulting, why not just go over the wall, separate ourselves, create space between the front line and the rest of Weibo. This shockwave from Xiaohu, yes, it doesn't find anything, and while this ultimate from both Kara and Jwei are impressive, I feel like the damage dealers are already gone. Shadow overextends to try to make a play here, and this MF is just tearing him apart.
Yeah, not a whole lot you can do at that point. You're so deep. You don't have any other setup. You don't have your ultimate. You're not at the super strong Lilia point where you're able to run over some of these weaker members. And now a guy like Light, completely supercharged, up 1,500 gold just about. Remember the early game that he had? I mean, that dive where he got 2 kills absolutely kept him in it from a situation that could have been uncomebackable. But now this misfortune is just so damn strong, even with the auto attacks.
I mean, look at Tian, bro. Yeah, Spear of Shojin, he literally doesn't care. He's like, I'm not actually here to kill you as a Scion. We're just looking to trade turrets on the opposite side of the map. The problem that I have with this from FPX, they were a team that we said from draft, your spikes on 1 and 2 items, especially for like a Lilia, a Yone especially, Awesome with his 2 items, is going to be very strong. But if you're behind that curve, if you're not really kind of matching or trying to put your opponents behind, they're down 3,000 gold, and Weibo are having some of those spikes come on their side. Light has a completed Infinity Edge and a Bloodthirster. This guy hits like a truck right now, and the rest of Weibo are not that far behind from finishing their second items.
Yeah, and remember, the game was even when FPX had the grubs on the first 2 dragons. All they had to do was just kind of keep it pushing, keep things the status quo. They got a little too antsy, take a bad fight, and then have this dragon fight that just goes so disastrously for them. And now everyone on Weibo is super strong, and Weibo can take purchase with damn near everything. Shadow might not even be able to secure his red buff. Jwei, looking to Hex Flash over the wall, will at least help FPX secure their red buff, but they are losing ground quickly.
They're losing access to mid waves. You see the ping going on towards the Otacon. If Weibo decide they find a fight, if they see something that they like, could end up going for that. Xiaohu's going for a very interesting build here. He went for Ludens into Storm Surge,
I love it,
plus the Sork Pen boots upgraded. He is going for an incredibly aggressive build. It means that he won't deal the same amount of damage to a Scion, but he recognizes the only people I need to be landing this Shockwave is going to be onto Yone, onto Lilia, and onto this Corki.
Yep, and they will not survive. Orianna, one of these champions that can build defensive and be very useful, or build aggressively and one-shot you. And I like this. I thought that maybe Xiaohu would be, all right, it's late in the season, you haven't really been playing great, we're going to put you on some of these facilitators, maybe not these champions that are going to hard carry, but with this build, Orianna can do that.
So we'll see. Let's see if Xiaohu can potentially earn himself a second MVP. I think it's going to be a little hard-pressed, considering the level 3 dive that we saw coming in versus Misfortune. So,
but hey, one Shockwave.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe if one Shockwave finds a couple of humans from the side of FPX, but I mean, Dragon spawning in a minute. If Weibo don't want that, they can very easily start up Otacon. They do a hell of a lot of damage. I feel like as Weibo, though, you're maybe looking for a little bit more gold. If you can steal one more camp, you feel very strong, as Tian should be close to his black cleaver.
50 seconds until this next dragon is up. You can see Shadow getting chunked out, and that wasn't even a ton of Orianna damage, right? It wasn't like, hey, I'm throwing everything on you, as he is going to be forced away. And now Weibo just waiting for this objective to come up, right? Waiting for FPX to try and force a fight. And let Xiaohu get the job done. Let Light sit back there, get a nice bullet time off. We are seeing the Seeker's Arm Guard from Shadow come through. We're seeing Care and Awesome on 2 items as well. So, listen, this might be their last gasp, FPX. They're still strong right now, but it's not great.
This is exactly where you want your composition to be. 22 minutes, you have 2 items. You really need to be able to find a win here. Now, even with that Seeker's Arm Guard that you did spot out, will mean that he's a little bit more survivable, but you look at how they take space, right? We talked about this with their draft. When you have a Cassante and Alistar, they can just move in, take control of any area that they want, and then you have an Orianna to just say, look, you ever walk into this chokehold, you die. If you walk into this spot of the map, you die. Tian needs to be very careful.
All right, try to put him to sleep. Oh, he's going to get caught by the Fate Seal. Nobody's around to save him. And the kill goes over to Shadow. The Otacon has been started up, but Weibo, they can still scrap a little bit. Looks like they might have a split focus here.
No, they're going to get
actually
up.
Just backing off here.
They can't contest this. Like, there's literally nothing for them to play for. Now they have to play from a really awkward choke here.
All right, they're still going for it. Maybe an opportunity for Xiaohu to do something big. Jwei goes in and goes down. Now Breathe on the backside. He's going to force the flash out. It's a 4v4, but Hung is going to run out of his ultimate real soon and is going to get real squishy once again. Now it's the Dragon, down to about 9,000 HP, but Weibo want a piece of this right now. Xiaohu is ready to make a play. Let's see it. Xiaohu Shockwave going down and only lands onto Sheer. And here comes Shadow. The flash is forced out as Care managed to get over the wall with that Q3. Both objectives going to FPX.
Now, I know we're going to get a replay of this. I hope so from our observers, and I hope that they show Tian, because not only are you getting caught out, that's one thing, but as the Neferi, when you go untargetable, you can actually dodge out on the Lilia Sleep, because the Lilia Sleep is its own projectile that flies out towards you. I really feel like Tian did not need to let that land onto him. I feel like it's pretty simple to say that dying there right before the Dragon spawns, not optimal. So that's going to be an Otacon going over to FPX. That's the 3rd Dragon on their side. So they're at soul point here. And that's the kind of, again, another Ocean Soul. That could be a win condition for them to come back into this game.
They get ready to learn MOBA Trainer, Tian. But yeah, Ocean Soul this game, much more of an impact than it would have had in the last game, because we don't really see that crazy Weibo scaling. They have really solid team fight, sure, and good burst from the Orianna, but it would require Light to hit a really sick bullet time. But we haven't really seen that happen yet. He's not getting too many opportunities to actually set his feet and do so. We're seeing a teleport used on the top side. Weibo hanging around. Looks like they might need to try to escort Breathe out. He doesn't get knocked up, but he does get chunked pretty hard.
I think right now what Weibo should be doing is prioritizing getting gold and CS onto Xiaohu, making sure that he gets level 16. He has a full level lead over his opponent right now, and level 16 means you get 3rd rank into that Shockwave. And if his entire goal right now is we're just going to try and one-shot someone with this, I think that's a perfectly fine tool for you to be looking for. And Weibo, they have first track into mid lane. It was a pretty big investment coming in from FPX to try to defend their mid-tier 1, or their top lane tier 1. Now they get the flash. They traded flash from Hung onto Care. I think they'll take that.
Okay, but Hung's going to get knocked up on the backside here multiple times. In fact, he is still really thick, but he's not able to wait himself out. Shockwave only lands on 1, but it's a good buffer from Care. He slides out. Light dies on the side. Multiple members of Weibo are asleep, and now they're getting corralled like sheep. Tian has to flash over the wall. Breathe is starting to bleed out. On the other side, Corky got a 2nd kill. And this is a huge win for FPX, as they will find 3, and they will head to the Baron.
Well, that fight around the Dragon may have just equalized this entire thing, because now they win another fight, and like you said, Baron on the cards. Xiaohu and Tian, masterful duo that we got to see come to fruition here on Weibo for 2025. Now need to make magic happen
5v2
around this Baron.
Let's see it happen. Xiaohu has the damage, though, and they're getting corralled. Trying to get on to Xiaohu, but they end up setting their sights on Tian. Remember, the shield's going to be a little bit bigger, too, as Tian manages to find Jwei, and they force them off. It was a really smart teleport from Xiaohu, and Weibo Gaming hanging tough, not letting this go. And now they're going to take the blue buff, too, as FPX are forced completely off. Sheer is tanky, but he still takes a lot of damage from Xiaohu.
Damn, they stopped them on the Baron. They might even be able to start this themselves. Misfortune's coming on through.
They're burning a TP. Yeah, here we go.
FPX, they stayed too much time on the map. It should have been their recall, and a masterful gambit from the mid-jungle duo of Weibo now grab themselves a masterful objective.
Yeah, they thought they would be able to win the 5v2. They said, we don't care about Xiaohu's teleport. But again, it's this really powerful Orianna. The Baron's going to fall, and Hung is about to go on to Care and make this a problem. Here we go, locked on is Tian, and Care will go down. Another nice pick as Weibo thrust themselves back in a winning spot.
They're going to also take this top lane tier 1. Good bounce back coming in from Weibo, not getting dragged down into some of the mistakes that are coming in. And this Baron buff is going to last the entire duration, plus some, for this dragon spawning in a minute. FPX, they need to make this next play count. They're going to be down summoner spells. They're going to be missing out on some of their ults for the time being, but they need to make this Dragon Soul work. Otherwise, this game just completely snowballs in the opposite direction for Weibo.
Yeah, I think what you have to do is you have to give your lives for it, but no more than 2. I think if you give too much away, you might not even be able to play for the next dragon after this one if you don't secure it. So I want to see Shadow, I want to see Jwei get in the face of Weibo, muscle their way in there, and try to get Shadow to land the smite onto this dragon in 15 seconds.
All right, so Weibo now trying to set up around this. It is all vision here for the side of Weibo on the red. We see this vision on the top side. Now it's all over this. For FPX, the only way they can see in the pit is that single control ward and the scuttle. Right now, Yone and Shadow trying to do something. That was a Storm Surge proc. That's not even the entirety of Xiaohu's kit being dropped onto Jwei, and he's already half HP.
Yeah, it's QW. Remember, Orianna real powerful at this stage in the game right now. 7,000, 6,000 HP as he's hunting around. You can see Shadow getting chunked out too. It's going to be so hard. They're going to get on to Xiaohu here. And Xiaohu with a nice snappy flash. He is going to be put to sleep, but he's in a really safe spot. He does get knocked up down to half HP. Sheer trying to do his thing in the pit as the dragon gets lower, but Shadow can't get close. It's a zoning bullet time, and it's a secured dragon for Weibo Gaming, and now they're going to look for awesome next as Tian is in the thick of things, and they will take out the AD carry. They will take out Jwei. Shadow will go golden, but he'll fall all the same. 4 for nothing for Weibo.
Thick of it, and everybody knows Weibo is absolutely smashing here. They're going to break their 6 series losing streak, and they're going to potentially now end the game 2-0 up in the series.
The skid is over. They have finally gotten off the slide. Now let's see what they can do moving forward. They will cap this game off with an ace. They will win a game that, yes, again, wasn't completely clean, but they had some really nice plays. I think their use of getting the inside track on FPX immediately after FPX went to go do an objective was superb this game. They were able to take out both mid turrets that way and get so much purchase on the map.
I just think this is a massive step up in terms of level of performance that we've seen from Weibo. But I just want to know, is this a mirage, or is this actually going to be the Weibo that plays? Because we have seen glimpses of this. I think even in this game, and in this series, we got to see some of that Weibo that still looks really fallible. But
yes,
Xiaohu and Tian playing so much better, in particular in the mid lane. Xiaohu really having his day versus Care.
Yeah, I mean, what, the one poor moment he had was the shockwave that didn't land onto Care? I really think that's like the one time in the series where I was like, yes, this was not great, Xiaohu. Other than that, I thought, yeah, I'm with you. He played pretty damn good this series. I am interested to see who we're going to give MVP for this game, because while Light had a really nice scoreline, I'm not entirely sure it should go to him,